Battle for Zendikar.
Let's do it.
Playing paper Battle for Zendikar this early is unbelievably ridiculous. I had to read it twice when I saw the announcement.
Playing Battle for Zendikar before anyone else is probably the most exciting part of the weekend for me. I've been looking forward to this set since it was announced.
Holy F. Man. What? Take two. I can't say that.
One of the things I love about Magic is drafting limited and sealed, and the fact that I get to do kind of like a sealed pre-release here, plus I get to draft after that, feels really awesome.
It feels amazing. I'm extremely excited to open an expedition and just yell, "Get the sleeve!"
I got to find a way to get those cards and just jet out of here.
The fact that we get to play with BFZ before anybody else is sweet. It's a real honor.
It's like Christmas for a child, right? Watching these spoilers and to finally get to play with the cards that I've been updating 3 times a day is gonna be great.
I have no idea how to value or rate any of the mechanics and stuff, so I'm really looking forward to just delving into the set and figuring out what's good and what's not.
I want to get my hands on some Eldrazi.
Yes. I am so excited that I can't verbally express my excitement.
That's exciting for me. That's kind of that primordial magic that I love.
Hello and welcome to coverage of the Magic Online Community Cup. We are in Renton, Washington, at the headquarters of Wizards of the Coast. I am joined by Matt Tabak in the booth.
Home sweet home.
And Marshall Sutcliffe, and we're ready to get underway here in the Battle for Zendikar draft. Now, this is huge, Matt. There's a lot on the line here for the community team. We've got Stibbs, Adam Staborski, facing off against, well, they're not facing off.
He's literally facing off.
Yeah. In a literal sense, facing off, though. They're not actually going to battle. And we see Kenji waving at his fans at home. And there's about 1 minute left on the Magic Online clock before this event.
Before they get started. Okay.
Yeah. You can set, we have Lee Sharp here as a technical guy, and he can set, okay, well, we're going to set it for this time, and then it just goes. And
yeah, he's done a great job doing all the Magic Online tech work for us. We're getting some selfies there on the right.
And you can see that Kenji is playing it up to his fans in the chat.
In case you guys have just tuned in, this is the Magic Community Cup 2015. Team Wizards of the Coast carrying a 2-point lead, and matches are worth 3 points for a win. So less than one match separates Team Wizards and Team Community. We're going to play 3 rounds of Battle for Zendikar draft for all the marbles. And we are just seconds away from this draft firing. So this is going to be very exciting. We're going to watch along with you at home. I haven't seen much Battle for Zendikar draft since the set has been in our hands. It'll be in your hands just a few short days. Of course, the Battle for Zendikar pre-release coming up next weekend. So you want to look out for that. But for now, we have a draft, and
we're underway.
We are in.
So we should be on Kenji's screen here, I do believe. And he's moving it. There's Oblivion Sower. All right, so let's start looking up some cards here. Do you know what that one does?
Yeah, so Oblivion Sower, 5/8 for 6. This is one of those ones we talked about. I think this came up yesterday. Go ahead and we're going to spread out some information. So we look at Kenji checking out his first.
It's basically
picks.
Primeval Titan, guys.
Yeah, the Oblivion Sower. This is the one that exiles 4 cards. When you cast it, it exiles 4 cards from the top of a target opponent's library. And then you can put any number of land cards that a player owns from exile onto the battlefield under your control.
Oh, yes.
So something we saw yesterday.
Primeval Titan, but I like it.
I'm an optimist.
I know, yeah, sure.
Well, something we saw yesterday was that ingest ability is a really good way to exile cards from an opponent's library. So it works not only with itself, but also with previous cards. If you've been hitting them with ingest creatures, maybe you've chipped away at that library and have some lands waiting to go. And it looks like...
Now, the key here, too, Tabak, let's just be clear. That is also a 5/8 for 6 mana.
Which is fine on its own. And we talk about the vanilla test. That 8's a lot of toughness.
Yeah, that's 8's a lot of toughness, and 5 is a good amount of power as well. All right, he's going to move on to the next.
So one thing I
here.
really like about this pick is that it doesn't commit him color-wise.
This one's nice. Radiant Flames. We saw this one a little while ago.
So we've got a couple directions.
And it says Radiant Flames deals X damage to each creature, where X is the number of colors of mana spent to cast Radiant Flame. So you can do up to 3.
Yeah, it's a good sweeper in that regards. And unlike the other Converge cards, you have a lot of control over how much damage you actually want to deal. So if you're facing down an army of Scions and you have, a bunch of 2 toughness creatures, maybe you can do it for 2 or 1. 1 would be better because I said 2 toughness and not 3 toughness. That's right, professionals. So a couple directions Kenji could go. There is a Royal Spout there, which is a good tempo card for the white-blue deck.
That card's sweet, too.
Flames is the pick, though.
You see he went over Pilgrim's Eye. That's a reprint that we've seen before. When it enters the battlefield, you get to search your library for a basic land, put it in your hand, and it's 3 colorless for a 1/1 flyer, so a very solid little card. It looks like he settled, though, on Nettle Drone, which is a very Kenji card. Nettle Drone is a 3/1 for 3 mana with Devoid. You can tap it to do 1 damage to each opponent, and whenever you cast a colorless spell, that includes, of course, all the Devoid spells in the set and any artifacts or whatever, you get to untap it. Yeah. So if you remember Lobber Crew,
very efficient card for dealing out damage, even if it can't attack, because 1 is the 1 toughness makes it a little vulnerable in a lot of combat situations, but it's happy to sit back and just plink away 1 or more damage a turn.
That's right, and sometimes you'll find scenarios with Nettle Drone where it gets to attack, hit for the full 3, and then you can play a colorless card post-combat and make it 4.
Yeah.
It really can get a lot of damage in, and it piles up quickly. And, that's the kind of deck that Kenji's really good at drafting.
Yeah, we've talked about the red-black kind of colorless deck being very aggressive.
A couple of choices here for Kenji. He's highlighted Complete Disregard first. That one you can read on your screen there. It's a removal spell for smaller creatures, and importantly, it's colorless. That untaps his Nettle Drone. Also, it exiles the target, and that means that if you happen to have a processor of some sort, you can trigger it.
Correct.
Now, he also looked over at Incubator Drone, though, which is a little bit less exciting. It's a couple of cards to the right. It's 4 mana for a 2/3, and you also get a 1/1 Scion with it, and once again, it's colorless. But he's decided to go for the black card Complete Disregard, which is a very solid little removal spell.
Yeah, absolutely. And it may be unlikely to come up, but exile target creature with power 3 or less, that could easily also be a land in this format, and which helps out the Oblivion Sower. So some nice synergy we've seen in the first few picks.
Yeah, let's
so
see.
We got a couple choices.
Ooh, there's an Ulamog's Nullifier. Man, I love that card, T-Back.
Ulamog's Nullifier is very strong. I've got checking out the Skitter skin up there. Now 4/3 Devoid.
Now, Matt, what is that? I don't know what it's called. Is that 1 black mana symbol in the lower left, the whatever crawler? Devoid. Whatever crawler. Anyway, that's the pump guy, right? You can pay 2 colorless to give it +1/+1 until end of turn, and it has ingest. Yeah, there it is. We can see it now. Sludge Crawler.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. The screen jumped there a little bit. Yes, Sludge Crawler.
Thankfully, so that we could see it.
Right.
As it turns out. All right, you can take a look at what's going on as players are teaming up a little bit here, and this is one of the cool parts about the Community Cup for sure. Is that the players are allowed to work together.
Yeah, absolutely. The team spirit is strong if you're a faster drafter, of course. We see Doc kind of jumping out of his seat there, ready to run over and lend a hand.
Also, there's some amount of coordination here among figuring out who's sitting next to where. You can do this on Magic Online, and then you can figure out who you're passing to, and you can even set up some pretty nasty stuff.
Yeah, we do have the teams kind of separated, so they won't be able to see the other team's computers. But, so if you can figure out who you're passing to and what you're getting past, that is a big consideration in community team drafting. Absolutely.
Now, there is a clock, of course, that runs. You can see it in the lower right. So you don't get all day to do this stuff, but it does work. He ended up taking the Skitter skin there.
Yeah, that's the one I had my eye on first. Again, playing into that red-black colorless theme. It's a 4/3. Can't block, but it is devoid, and it does have a regeneration ability if you control another colorless creature.
Which it looks like he will. And Kenji looks like... So he just took a Mist Intruder. Which is not great as a blue kind of low-powered attacker in his deck. So I think he's going to switch gears here. He's going to go for the Culling Drone, which is a very solid little 2/2 for 2 with Ingest and Devoid. And you can see that as of yet, Kenji has drafted exactly 1 card with a color.
Yes.
Everything else is devoid or colorless naturally.
Yes. And amusingly, that 1 card with a color does have Converge, so it's going to look for different colors of mana. Although really, dealing 2 damage to each creature is often just fine.
Now, it looks like he's got his eye on a Eldrazi Devastator. A simple card. Not a whole lot going on there.
Now, red-black is not the strongest color combination when it comes to ramping your mana. So these 6 drops and these 8 drops, we're going to be looking for Eldrazi Scions, perhaps.
Okay. Now there's a Vestige of Emrakul there. That's a 3/4 Trample Devoid. An Oracle of Dust, though, that's, again, Kenji's got to be careful about branching out into too many different colors here, as he's pretty evenly spread between red and black at the moment.
Yeah, he looks like he's giving himself perhaps a way out with blue.
I mean, he does have the Mist Intruder as well, so...
Oracle of Dust, a card that works really well with the exiling strategy. It works really well with Mist Intruder, the other blue Devoid card he's taken.
What does Transgress the
So
Mind do?
there's some options
Is that to
here.
take away your cards from your hand?
So this is another Devoid spell. Yeah, target player reveals his or her hand.
Oh, it's Inquisition of Kozilek.
Yeah, you choose a card from it with converted mana cost.
And I'm assuming it
three or
exiles it?
greater. And
Oh,
exile
it's
that
3 or
card.
greater.
3 or greater.
Oh.
So this is an effective tool against some of the larger Eldrazi that sit in hand for a few turns while you
Understood.
build your mana base. So now picks coming fast and furious for Kenji. We've got Retreat to Hagra.
Retreat, yeah. What does that do? I'm looking it up right now.
So the retreats are a cycle of enchantments that have landfall abilities, and it's a modal ability. You can choose one of 2 options whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control. For Hagra, your choice is either target creature gets +1/+0 and Death Touch until end of turn, or you can drain your opponents for 1.
Okay.
They each lose a life, and you gain 1 life.
That's pretty strong. We also got a chance to take a quick look there at Kenji was giving old Stibbsy a hand there, too, making sure that his draft was going the way that they wanted.
Yeah, the retreats are all very strong. If you can keep the landfall coming.
Yeah, why don't we take a look at Staborski here?
Oh, let's do it.
Yeah, we're kind of winding down this pack, and I'd like to get... Oh, hold on a minute. We'll stay on Kenji for a minute, Rashad.
We certainly did wind down that pack.
We just opened up our next one, and I want to get a chance to see where he goes from here. But as we wind down pack 2, we'll take a look at what Stibbs has got going on.
Now, I'll bring you back to a comment I made in the last pack that this black-red deck might have some problems casting some of its later drops. Well, Conduit of Ruin has something to say about that. It's a great rare that Kenji just opened. 5/5. When it enters the battlefield or when you cast it?
Dude.
Let me take a look.
I'm looking it up.
Let's talk about that second ability. That's the relevant one I'm talking about. The first creature spell you cast each turn costs 2 less. So that is going to give you a fine discount on your large Eldrazi.
Conduit of Ruin, you say?
Yeah, it is when you cast.
When you cast it.
Yeah,
When you cast
most of the
Conduit
large Eldrazi, that's kind of their thing. They have cast
Yeah,
triggers.
and then the
Should've
first
remembered
creature spell you cast each turn costs 2 less to cast.
Right. So if that creature spell is, say, Eldrazi Devastator, you're getting quite a bargain with 6 mana for an 8/9 Trampler.
All right, let's see what Kenji opens up in this next pack. And then I know BDM's taking a look at what Yoel Larson... Whoa. Whoa, I've played with that card already. The blue card there. What is that guy called? Something of Kazim.
So we've got a couple interesting picks here.
It's a Guardian of Tazim.
Oh, Guardian of Tazim is there? Yes.
Yeah. So whenever a land... well, you can see it's got landfall whenever a land enters battlefield under control. Tap target creature an opponent controls. If it was an island, it stays tapped.
Yeah.
For a turn cycle. So really great. BDM, what do you have going on with Yoel Larson?
Well,
over there?
I'm watching Yoel draft here, and what's better than a planar outburst?
I don't know what a planar outburst...
Well,
oh, my God.
Really? 2 planar outbursts.
They never play around the second
No,
one.
never. And again, remember, it's destroy all non-land creatures.
Although...
And it has Awaken.
I will note here, BDM...
He doesn't have a lot of creatures.
What colors is he?
He is he's white, green, and something.
He's white, green, blue,
Maybe
black?
blue, yeah. White, green, blue.
I see a black card.
Yeah, he's got his cards in there, but he's looking
Okay.
for a couple signals here. But in the meantime, whatever he does, he's got 2 wraths to clear the way for it.
Wow, there's a Breaker of Armies there. It costs 8 mana, but that thing, that's a nice cleanup spell after playing a planar outburst. All right, thanks, BDM. Let's take a look at what Kenji's done with his packs.
That is an impressive start for Yoel Larson.
Yeah, he needs to kind of focus in on some colors, but he's got the
He needs
power
an
level.
impressive finish, though.
Yeah.
Another Nettle Drone there for Kenji, it looks like, is what he picked up. That, again, is the, we call it a pinger. It doesn't really ping, but the one that hits players.
You can see Kenji putting together his curve as he drafts. One nice feature about drafting on Magic Online is you can kind of build as you go.
I love that. I usually submit my deck within a minute.
Yeah, it really speeds up deck building.
Yeah, you just make those last few cuts, get your lands in there, and off you go.
So we've got a couple reasonable options here. There's an Ondu Champion. Not a big rally theme. Ondu Champion is a decent
it's
body on
pronounced
its...
Rally, actually.
Oh, Rally.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, you didn't know that.
The
huh?
allies with Rally.
Right. I'll keep correcting you on that.
Yeah, please do. Ondu Champion, fine on its own. Of course, not a strong ally theme here for Kenji, but Vile Aggregates, as we see here. 5 toughness, very large creature, and its power is equal to the number of colorless creatures you control. So this plays right into the theme we are seeing Kenji develop here. That is an excellent pickup for him.
Now, normally when I think of red-black in most draft strategies, it's usually pretty aggressive, almost recklessly so. Is that the case in this format from your experience?
It is one of the more aggressive color pairs for sure.
Okay.
We're seeing a lot of creatures like Culling Drone, like Nettle Drone, Vile Aggregate. Kenji should be able to push the pace in most of his games. This one's not quite as aggressive as some of the black-red decks I've seen. It does have a nice top end, Conduit of Ruin, Eldrazi Devastator. If the game goes long, he's got enough end game there to... Ooh, picks up a Boiling Earth. We've seen that.
That looks like a sideboard card. Deals 1 damage to each creature your opponents control.
Yeah, it can be devastating in the right situation.
Yeah,
maybe not main deckable. The Awaken helps, but the cost is 7, so can't really rely on that.
Yeah, this pack has not really been kind to Kenji, to be honest, as he takes a card and puts it directly into his sideboard. Zada has shown up. Does she have a place in a limited deck like this?
So what you're looking for Zada are instants and sorceries that you want to target your own creatures with. So not so much in this deck. I wouldn't have been surprised to see him actually take the Smite the Monstrous there, just defensively. He does have,
Just hasn't had any white cards yet.
Yeah. He does have plenty of 4 power creatures, which would appreciate not getting taken out. So we're coming to the end of pack 2.
Yeah, we're going to take a jump over. Let's see what he takes out of this pack. Wow, blue seems pretty open.
Blue does seem open. Outnumber is a perfectly fine removal spell.
Yes, that seems fine. Good. The price is right, and he's got a good amount of creatures already. Mindraker he could use as well. After he takes this pick, why don't we jump over and see what Adam Staborski's up to? All right, he took the outnumber. Staborski loves red-white. Let's see if he's on it here. Oh no,
he is certainly not.
He is on heavy blue and a little bit of white.
Yeah, looks like blue-white here for the Stibs.
This is interesting because this is not Stibs' kind of comfort zone when it comes to draft,
So we're peering in on his. I see a Titan's Presence, which is a very effective removal spell. That's a good pickup for him.
Interesting, Matt. You know how you were saying that you thought maybe Kenji would kind of hate draft that Smite the Monstrous?
Yeah.
We found out why.
Oh.
He didn't. He's passing to Doc.
Oh.
And Doc's in white.
Sure.
So he's like, here, friend.
That's right.
Enjoy.
You have to consider that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's excellent.
Yeah. Graham came in and slipped me a note that said, this is what's
well,
happening.
Isn't the Community Cup fun?
Yeah.
All right.
Teams.
So good work for Kenji there. That is well played.
And we're kind of in the dregs of this pack here, as these are cards that aren't super likely to make the cut. Do you think Stibs has a good deck right now?
So let me take a look here.
Give me a 1 out of 10 on this real quick.
This is hitting at about a 7 right now.
Okay,
for me.
so it's reasonable.
Pretty good. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, now Tim Willoughby, I know he's down on the floor and he's got a word to give us.
Understood. I'm down here on the draft floor with Wedge. Wedge drafting as part of the community team, and it looks like things are going pretty well for you here. It seems like you kind of just naturally fallen into an archetype.
Yeah, I am straight up white-black life gain. It's not close. I've got multiple ways to gain life. I've got multiple ways to use or to trigger life gain. I've got Gideon, just a bunch of Royals, Retributions, Grip of Desolation. I'm basically getting black-white good stuff that just happens to have life gain in it. It's kind of ridiculous.
So it's kind of worked out that the way you're sat, you're in a nice spot in terms of having teammates around you. So there's a little bit of help coming in terms of what's being passed to you anyway. But regardless, you've opened well, and it looks like you're drafting super well. This is going really, really, really nicely.
Oh, yeah. Being able to see where everybody else is really helps. Jimmy passed to me pack 1, which really helps since we sort of coordinated colors, so it was easy to avoid each other. And knowing that I passed to Melissa and then Maria, it's really easy to see that Melissa's not in my colors at all. So it's really convenient for me.
So basically, the way that you do well in draft is you get in good position, try and not be in the colors of people next door. That naturally working out for Wedge here.
And then opening Gideon.
That doesn't hurt too. We'll send things back to the booth.
Yeah, opening Gideon is always a
And
strong
then
strategy.
opening Gideon,
I recommend that.
That did work. So back to Kenji Agashera here. And looks like he's got a belligerent whiptail lined up here. Is that what he wants to pick this early in the pack?
Well, let's take a look here. There is...
He took it.
Yeah, the Whiptail was a good pick. As I got a better look at Kenji's deck while we were away at that interview and using my Wizards judging skills, I just want to say this is one of the better decks I've ever seen. I'm going to give it a 2.
Oh, no.
That's how they do it here.
Oh, that was your judge skills being.
This is me.
Wow.
This is me.
Oh, my God.
I'm just judging.
Right. No, I understand. Yeah, I understand.
Are you flavor judging the flavor judges?
Yeah, this is how they train us here at Wizards of the Coast. So I want to be fair and impartial.
Oh, look at Kenji got. He's so excited.
Turn
he got
against
a turn
is
against in the third pick here.
Definitely one of your better combat and just general tricks.
Man, he is going to get somebody with that thing.
Yeah.
You guys can see what turn against does on the card there. The key point here, of course, is that it's an instant.
Yeah, that card is all about the type line because I'm sure players out there are very familiar with active treason-like effects, which is good for borrowing a creature and you attack with it. Maybe if you're lucky, you have a sacrifice effect. You can use it as a removal spell if you put something together. But man, you haven't lived until you've taken one of your opponent's creatures and blocked one of their attacking creatures. It's really, really, really good.
Get the shivers thinking about it.
Oh, yeah. Old school Ray of Command style there.
Also, it's devoid.
It is devoid.
It just works together with those Nettle Drones. There's and kind of starts to add up,
a lot of colorless spells, whether it looks like it at first glance or not. One of the really nice things I want to just point out, because players out there haven't had the cards in their hands yet, but they will this weekend. The devoid frames are really nice because they serve a lot of different purposes. One of them is during draft. The tops of those cards kind of hint at the color that you need to cast the spell, although the rest of the frame
how it
is
looks
very
right
colorless. Here. Yeah.
Like if we look at the turn against, you can see that it's red.
Yeah, this looks like, if you're evaluating like how many lands do I need, what is my mana curve like, I'm thumbing through a pack. Oh, that's red. I'm playing red. I can cast that. But then the rest of the frame, when it's on the battlefield, it looks colorless. So really excellent job by our team.
Wow, that was a great idea.
Designing those frames. Yeah, they did excellent work. We went through a lot of different variations.
That's super cool.
I think they really hit on a good solution there.
Good job. I'm giving you full credit for it.
I give myself a 4.
You're...
Reckless Cohort, pretty aggressive. Tunneling Geopede.
Oh, man, you can't say that.
I can't say what? I'm going to get yelled at later, folks.
No, you probably won't. They'll probably pat you on the back.
Viewers at home, I just want to say it's been fun. This is great. I'm clearly never doing it again because they're going to get rid of me. But I hope you guys are having as much fun as I am.
I'll keep you if I get the choice.
Sweet.
What is that card on the left? Something Nursery? Is that what that says?
See if we can slide that the view over.
We cannot. That's Kenji's screen we're looking at. Let me see if I can. There it is. Molten Nursery.
It is Molten Nursery.
So it's 2 and a red enchantment devoid. Whenever you cast a colorless spell, it does 1 damage to a creature or player. That's kind of interesting. I don't think it's quite good enough, even in Kenji's deck, though.
No shortage of colorless spells, but we'll see if Kenji decides that makes the cut. Shadow Skull Recruit, pretty efficient. 4/4 Menace for 5. Kind of a good beater, but Mindraker is there.
Yeah, it looks like Kenji's taking the curve choice there.
That's a good call.
Yeah, and his curve is awkward. He's got way too many 3-drops to be happy here. He really would prefer the 2 to be the spot. And from what I can tell, he's got 1 creature at the 2-drop slot.
And you can see that in this pick here, the Valakut Invoker, which is a really solid 3-drop, but I think Kenji's just a little overloaded in that column. Goes for the Boiling Earth instead.
Another Transgress the Mind, although that would be his second copy. I don't know how many of those you want to run in the main deck. My guess it's somewhere between 0 and 1.
Yeah, I've honestly never played with that card in Limited, so...
Yeah. I mean, it seems okay, right? Like, you'll hit some stuff, but...
There are definitely some archetypes I could see bringing that in. I'm not sure if it makes the main.
I like. That makes sense.
Volcanic Upheaval... Inspired Charge might be a good defensive pick here, just to get that off table. But again, passing to teammates, maybe defensive drafts are not all they're cracked up to be.
Yeah, I just saw in our chat that it looks like Doc just cut a mythic rare.
Oh, yeah?
Because he knew he was passing it to
right.
Wizards.
You'll cut a Rolling Thunder with his first pick in his third pack.
He did?
Yeah.
Because he knew where it was going?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's
a whole nother layer,
It's kind of an underappreciated facet of the team drafting aspect here at the Community Cup.
I agree. Oh, good. Another 3-drop. Kenji, I think, has seen just about enough of those. But, that is 23 cards there for Kenji. He's got 15 creatures. And, I think he's ready to rumble. The kid doesn't need much. You can give him a deck like this, and he'll pull wins out with it all day.
Yeah, no, this looks like a very fine deck shaping up.
It's just fine, right? Like, this isn't a deck you wouldn't screenshot this and email it to me as check out what I drafted last night.
Yeah, I'm not, posting it on my Facebook feed or anything,
right. But it's okay.
Yeah, I'd be happy with this deck going into battle against the Wizards team.
Yeah, and like I said, this really is the type of deck that Kenji can kind of get maximum value out of. He's really good at taking medium decks like this and maximizing on them.
It's interesting to me that both Transgress the Minds are there. Kenji, of course, light on 2-drops, so may not have a whole lot of things to do on turn 2.
Yeah, his deck's going to play a little more mid-range.
Yeah, looking at a mid-range deck here, but if they can get some of those early threats, some of those large Eldrazi out of his opponent's hands, that'll be to his advantage.
Now, one thing I want to remind you of if you're just tuning in here is that this is the booster draft, and this is the last portion of the Community Cup. And what's going to happen now is they're going to play 3 rounds, and we're going to have a champion. The current score?
Yes.
Wizards is ahead by 2 points.
Correct.
2.
Wizards of the Coast needs to tie or win to take it all. The community team must win this event.
Why?
To overtake, because if they tie, then they're still down by 2, right?
Oh, you're saying if they tie in the draft round?
If they over the next 3 rounds.
I thought you meant if the score was tied.
No.
What is
I'm
this,
sorry.
home court advantage?
I apologize. I meant over the next 3 rounds, community must win.
Yes.
Wizards can play for the tie. They won't. They want to win just as badly as anybody.
Oh, yeah. I talked to Forsyth a little while. By the way, we've switched over to Staborski here. This is the Stibs, Adam Staborski, who is trying to figure out what he wants to do with this blue-white deck.
Breaker of Armies floating around late. Normally, 8 drops give you pause in limited.
Yeah, he looks like he's already got one with the Eldrazi Devastator down there, but actually he's just replaced it with the Breaker.
Yeah, that's interesting. 10-8, of course. Not the flashiest of abilities, that lure, the all creatures must block it if so. But
you don't think that's flashy?
It's not flashy,
Dear
but
God,
it's powerful.
It eats their whole team.
Right, but it doesn't have the cast triggers or the replayability. It's simple, brutal, it gets on the battlefield, and it gets people in front of it.
I get you now. Yeah, you're right. And that whole guy's kind of embodies that. Not flashy, but brutal.
Yeah.
10-8.
10-8. 10-8 is a force to be reckoned with.
And that is going to do it for our draft portion. Now we're going to be checking in with our players and Tim Willoughby as he jumps around to see kind of how happy they are, what they've drafted, and what's going on with that. And after that, we're going to get our round started here in Renton. I'm assuming Tim Willoughby is going to be jumping around. Yeah, he's getting the camera set up and all that. So we'll be checking in with him and getting an idea from both of the teams on how happy they are with the decks. I'm curious to see. I mean, it's a little early, right? I mean, the format doesn't come out for another couple of weeks.
Yeah, we talked about the informational advantage the Team Wizards may have. They have seen this before. Now, to be fair, it's not a complete advantage. Wizards probably hasn't seen this in a while. We stopped working on Battle for Zendikar a little while ago. And the
like a
team,
couple weeks ago you guys finished
like
it up?
The community team has had a few days to get some practice in. They've seen all the cards. Certainly the informational advantage is to Team Wizards. There's no denying that. But can the community rally together to pull off what I would call an upset?
I mean, they're coming in 2 points behind. Of course it's an upset.
I wouldn't be upset either way. This has been a fantastic event.
So you would call it an upset. You wouldn't be upset.
I wouldn't be upset any way you go.
I would. I want the community team to win because I want to get the bonus cards in my account.
Oh, yeah. Hey, if you guys are watching and you have not logged into Magic Online at any point this weekend, please do so because the community team is battling to win you guys prizes. But only if you log into Magic Online while we're broadcasting. So now would be a fine time. Just log in, and when the community team wins,
I heard what you said.
Everyone who logged in will be picking up. What will they be picking up?
So they're going to get some unhinged basic lands.
Those are sweet. Everyone likes those.
Gorgeous. And also a promo Thalia.
Oh, very nice.
Guardian of Thraben, yeah.
And even if the community team does not quite pull it out, there will be a card given for everyone who logs in, and that is
just Drown in Sorrow.
Drown in Sorrow. So less
you guys are mean.
Less exciting on that end, but still, free crads are free crads, as they say.
Indeed,
so
sir.
Please log into Magic Online. Maybe play a game or two while you're there.
All right, let's head down to the floor where Tim Willoughby awaits with an interview.
I'm here on the floor here as the Wizards of the Coast team are building their decks with Robert Schuster. Now, Robert, you came into this draft knowing that there was one archetype that you really wanted to be in.
Oh, yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that one?
So the archetype that, the archetype that I really enjoy in this format is Red-Black Devoid. My favorite card in the format so far is a 3/2 for black-red that is devoid, and then also has this amazing ability for one colorless to give target colorless creature haste until end of turn. So if you can curve him into one of your 3-drops that starts just beating right away, you can get a tempo advantage that can be really difficult for your opponent to come back from.
And fortunately enough for Robert, it looks like you've been able to draft exactly the kind of deck that is your personal favorite. If you had to mark your deck out of 5, how do you feel about it right now?
It's definitely not the best version of this deck that I've gotten. I didn't get enough of the 3-drops that I wanted, and my boss told me that I was going to pass one of the certain 3-drops to him, so I definitely said yes. But I feel overall it's going to be a good role player in this draft. So.
Excellent stuff. Of course, the Wizards team currently just ahead in terms of points, so really it's a matter of having 8 solid decks that can hold that advantage rather than sort of swinging for the fences. So a strong deck here from Robert Schuster, but we'll send things back to the booth now and we'll be able to potentially get a little bit of a look in on some of the other decks of the Community Cup very, very shortly.
All right, so Tim's going to be kind of roving around for us and getting more and more impressions from the players. We're just going to kind of check out what Kenji's building here. I think we got a pretty good idea of what he's up to now.
Yeah, we saw this coming together as he drafted it. That curve, a little heavy in the 3 slot, like you said.
Yeah, I think he'd like about 3 of those to jump to the left a row and or a column,
I agree.
I should say. And yeah, that would be a lot better for his deck.
But still a very, very good deck he's put together here. We'll see if those Nettle Drones play a role here, those constant sources of damage.
I feel like they will. I just don't think that he's going to be able to get out to a quick start. I mean, even as it's laid out, we have to note here that only one of those 2s is a creature.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he has a 2-drop.
Yeah.
In the whole deck. One
of the
That is not good in an aggressive deck.
That is
you want
indeed
5 to 6, and he has 1.
Yeah.
But he does have ways to push through damage, even if his opponent gets stable on board. Like you said, specifically those Nettle Drones can do a lot of work.
And some of those 3-drops are pretty imposing bodies. That Vile Aggregate with the 5 toughness is, that can hold the line for a while until that mid-range can really start rolling. So
yeah, we'll keep an eye on that. Let's send it back down to Tim, who is with somebody else on the floor.
I'm here on the floor with Megan Wolf. Now, Megan, community team, has a little bit of work to do in this final draft. It looks like there was a lot of kind of running around going on in this draft for the team. Talk us through a little bit about how the actual physical version of the draft went for you guys.
It was obviously very exciting and very athletic, especially since Kenji was passing to me for the 1st and 3rd packs and he is sitting over there in the feature match area. So we kind of wanted to make sure that we weren't in each other's colors, and then in the 3rd pack that he was kind of setting me up with a couple of things that I needed. So it was a lot of just like them booking it over here and then booking it back over to their decks to make their draft picks. It was a lot of fun.
And in terms of what you've ended up with, you just kind of finished up your build. Are you happy with the deck?
Yeah. When we were doing a couple of practice drafts, I've been practicing drafting Landfall just because it's actually, I feel like going into this, I knew a little bit about Devoid. I knew a little bit about the Ingest decks. I was a little bit more familiar. And so I was sort of like, well, I don't know if Landfall, is that a deck? Is it any good? And I've ended up in a Landfall deck, which I'm pretty happy with. I do think that it's a viable deck. It's a little bit more aggressive, really designed to take advantage of people trying to cast really big spells.
It looks like a solid deck that you've got there. Best of luck in these last 3 rounds. We'll head things back to the coverage area, though, because everyone's just finishing up their build here. We'll have some matches for you here at the Community Cup very, very soon.
Yeah, thank you, Tim, for that. We're now taking a look at Stibsy, Adam Staborski, and to figure out what he's come up with, though, it looks like he's not cooperating with
Yeah,
us.
we'll see if we can get Stibbs to give us a little bit of a better look at his deck.
We're getting a look. Oh, look at those lands.
But he does get to add some gorgeous lands to that deck.
Hey, there we go. He helped us out.
For a moment.
He then is not. What do you think about from what you've been able to see from the deck, Matt?
Well, let's see.
There we go.
That Benthic Infiltrator is fantastic.
What does that do? Is that the
so that's the 1/4
unblockable?
yeah, unblockable ingest and devoid. So like we saw with Nettle Drone, kind of a constant source of damage that isn't easy to interact with in combat. Of course, it can't be blocked for the Infiltrator, just tapping to deal damage for the Nettle Drone. Stibbs is kind of, yeah. Good. So we got a couple sheer drops. Very powerful spell. Good to see those. The sheer drop, of course, is 2 and a white. It's destroy target tapped creature. It also has Awaken, so you can cast it for 6 and get a 3/3 land creature out of it.
Am I to assume that this is a sorcery?
You are to assume correctly. Yes,
Okay.
That is a sorcery. It's kind of a take on Assassinate, but of course the Awaken twist. And the white-blue deck has a lot of good Awaken cards that, especially good in the mid to late game. So of course, Awaken has an additional cost, and in addition to the spell's normal effect, you also get to target a land you control and turn it into a 0/0 elemental land creature with haste. But there's a number, and that's the number of +1/+1 counters you get. So it doesn't stay 0/0 for very long. And of course, the second and subsequent Awaken spells can target that same land to make it huge, or you can go wide and target different lands to just increase your creature count on the battlefield.
Would you call this a control deck here?
Well, let's see.
I mean, I do see he's got, some high drops there, a 6-drop, an 8-drop.
So he's got 2 Kozilek's Channelers, which are nice. That's going to help him ramp up into things like Breaker of Armies. Getting a look at his early game here.
Breaker of Armies is a great name for a Magic card, by the way.
Yeah. So Sibbs is kind of playing the long game here. One card I would like to point out is his 2-drops Coral Helm Guide. So it's a 1U, 2/1, efficient, small, early game creature, but its ability 4U: target creature can't be blocked this turn. So it's a great way to push damage through in the late game.
Especially with those bigger creatures in the end there.
Yeah, so certainly Sibbs is going to want to hide behind the sheer drops, the Clutch of Currents, kind of stymie the opponent long enough to either get his really large creatures on board, get his unblockability moving, or both. Breaker of Armies, if you can make that can't be blocked, you can ignore the lure. Just send it in for 10. That's a fine strategy.
Yeah, heck with the armies.
Yeah.
Breaker of Opponents.
Breaker of Opponents. So
That looks pretty cool. I like it.
Yeah, all the decks we've seen drafted here are solid here.
You got something over there, BDM, in the red zone?
I've just got how Joel's deck turned out.
I'm curious.
Yeah, it is a 4-color. It is a 4-color brew.
Wow, we were wondering what 3 colors he might decide on, and it turns out he didn't.
It is 4-color blue. He's got 4-color brew, but brew is spelled BRUE. He's got 2 Lifespring Druids. He's got a natural
splashing
connection.
for 2 double white cards, PDM?
He's splashing for 2 double white cards and for a black card. He's essentially a green-blue deck.
God, that's greedy.
Yeah,
How
but
in the world is he-
and 3 white cards total. Right? He's got the Noyandar Royal Savant, which, like, if he ever gets to,
I see a fortified rampart there, and then a couple of planar outbursts for white.
yeah, if he ever gets to, make a couple of lands into creatures, he has the ability to really take over the game.
This is a fascinating deck. Lifespring Druid, of course, is the key here, I think.
Is that the one? Is that the 2/1 that taps for any color of land?
Evolving Wilds is going to help out a lot. Canopy Vista is going to help out a lot.
Natural connection, too.
We
right?
could see our first full 5 counter Skyrider Elf.
Oh,
in
yeah.
this deck.
That is absolutely true.
He does have the capacity to pay 5 different colors of mana to cast this.
Make it a Skyreach Manta
and
elf.
make it full Skyreach Manta, yes.
Cool.
Skyrider Elf is an interesting little card. It's a blue, a green, and X for a 0/0, and then it enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it for each color of mana spent to cast it. Also has flying, not irrelevant. So that X is kind of weird. You can say X is 0 and just cast it for a green and a blue and get a 2/2 flyer. Good deal. You can actually make X any number you want. You can say 7. I wouldn't recommend that. Saying 3 is a good option, though. Cast it for 5, use 5 different colors, get a 5/5 flyer. So a lot of options with Skyrider Elf, especially in a deck like this, where maybe he'll only see 3 of his 4 colors. Who knows?
Well, again, Lifespring Druid makes any color of mana that you want.
Lifespring Druid can help. Of course, he's got Evolving Wilds. He's got Pilgrim's Eye. I love this deck.
Marshall, you and I yesterday, we got a chance to play with Clutcher cards.
Mm-hmm.
And,
we both loved that, didn't we?
Yeah.
Especially that time when we cast it 3 turns in a row.
It wasn't the same one, which was kind of sweet.
Yeah, that was the best part.
But, this card is, it looks like a spell, but really it's a, 3-power Mana War.
Yeah, I call it's a 5 mana spell.
Right.
Right. Like that. It's so rare that you use Clutch of Currents for just the blue mana. And
sometimes you do. You're going to rush through for the win.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, bounce that. But a lot of time you really want to be patient. You want to make a 3/3 land.
Yeah. I mean, this deck is a control deck through and through. Like, there's 2 Coastal Discovery here as well.
That's more, and those are more cards that have Awaken. So that's more abilities for him to give himself, lands that will survive a planar outburst.
Oh yeah, of course. Wow, his deck is sweet. Now the mana could be an issue, but if it's not, I love what he's built.
That
back
deck
to the booth.
That deck looks like it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're actually getting players just about ready to start battle. Like we're going to be in round
the battle
one here
for
shortly.
Battle for Zendikar battle.
Yeah, and here at the Community Cup, it's going to be really close down the stretch. The Wizards team is only up by 2. Let's head down to the feature match area right now for the first round of action.
Here we go.